Hey everyone, welcome to 5 Minute Fridays, where we take 5 minutes to close out our week in the Word of God. Do you have words that you shouldn't say in your house? We very quickly discovered a few words that we did not like hearing coming out of the mouth of our first kid, Charlie. And I mean, they're very simple words, stupid and but. But when a little tiny person starts using those words, it just, it hits our ears wrong. And so Liz and I talked and we decided, you know what? We're going to try to discourage that. And so if Charlie would ever say stupid or Charlie would ever say but, we'd say, hey, we don't say but. Hey, we don't say stupid. And she's a great kid. She's a great listener. And so she really grabbed hold of that and has adopted it and has listened. So much so that even if we're watching a movie or watching TV, more often than not, if one of the characters says stupid or says but, there's Charlie. We don't say stupid. We don't say but. Well, it's been a few years, and there have been more than one occasion where Mommy and Daddy have forgotten those rules, where we'll be talking about something and one of us will say stupid and Charlie's right there to say, hey, we don't say stupid, or a few times in a sermon, I've used the word but, I've used the word stupid, and Charlie wasn't even in the room, but because of how many times we've said it, or she said it to me, or she said it to Liz, it just ran through my head. We don't say those words. And I share that with you because as we're kicking off in the new year, what's really been hitting me in my readings, in my studies and devotions, and just different things that I've been coming across is practicing what we preach. If we're going to tell someone, this is what it means to live like this, then we better be ready to follow it. And as I was thinking on that, and I wanted to share it with you, I was reading through 1 John again, and as you know, we've kind of been sporadically walking through that a little bit, and wouldn't you know it, the next few verses talk about exactly that. And so check out with me 1 John chapter 2, verses 3 to 6. We know that we have come to know him if we keep his commands. Whoever says, I know him, but does not do what he commands is a liar, and the truth is not in that person. But if anyone obeys his word, love for God is truly made complete in them. This is how we know we are in him. Whoever claims to live in him must live as Jesus did. Do you hear it in there? Practice what we preach. Live the life God has called us to live. And I was trying to think, how do we summarize this up? I really think you can do it in kind of three ways. Am I loving as Christ first loved me? Am I forgiving as Christ has first forgiven me? And am I, a broken sinner, willing to receive correction, receive that kind of, hey, that may not be what you should be doing? Am I willing to hear that I am a sinner and am in need of that same forgiveness I've been called to offer others? And I would challenge you to ask yourself, am I loving as Christ loved me? Am I forgiving as Christ loved me? Am I receiving correction because I need that forgiveness too? And if not, I got some pretty good news for you. You see, whenever we say stupid or but in our house, Charlie hears it, all right, especially if Liz or I say it, and immediately tells us, hey, we don't say that. And then we move on. We keep playing our game. We keep watching our show. We keep doing whatever it is that we're doing. She doesn't hold it against us. She doesn't say, okay, well, from now on, I'm done playing with you because you keep saying that word. Because you keep doing that thing you told me not to do. No, she corrects, she forgives, and she moves on with us. And the same thing is true for us as Christians. When we fail to love as Christ first loved us, when we fail to forgive as we've been called to forgive, when we fail to receive that correction, when we sin, God doesn't look at us and think, wow, you're awful, I'm done with you. No, he looks at us and he says, hey, that's not what I want for you. That's not how I want you to live. And then whether it's through a thought in our mind, through maybe a prayer, through maybe the person we've told, hey, I'm really struggling with this, or maybe it's through your pastor on a Sunday morning proclaiming it to you, or whatever it is, reading the word, after He identifies, he shows you that sin. He doesn't hold it against you. He, through one means or another, helps you to know with certainty that sin, that way of living that I don't really want you to do, that's a sin my son covered too. That's a sin my grace is sufficient for too. That's a sin I have taken care of through the death and resurrection of Jesus. So God points out our sin. He forgives us of our sin. And then you know what he does? He picks us up and he sets us right back on the path to engage in the mission he has called us to participate in, to go and make disciples of all nations. And so I guess in all of this, my point for you today is to really ask yourselves, are you practicing what we preach? Are you living the life of a believer? Are you loving as Christ first loved you? Are you forgiving as Christ first has forgiven you? Are you receiving correction when you sin? Are you reflecting Christ's light in this world? And if you're not, all I encourage you, confess your sin, because God is ready to forgive you. He's ready to pick you back up, to dust you off, and to put you back on the path to engage in his will. There is nothing that separates you from his love. And so if you're not practicing, seek the forgiveness of God, because it is there for you. But if you are, thank you. Thank you for being who you are. And my hope and my prayer is that you continue to be a light in this world of darkness. But no matter what's going on, whether you're doing it right, you're practicing what you preach, or you're not, let's all this year look to be better at reflecting the light of Christ, so that even more would come to believe and have the hope we have of eternal salvation in him.